We recognize that the Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society meets on the unceded land of the Abenaki people. We are the beneficiaries of their displacement by European colonizers. It falls to us to remain mindful of that fact and to continue to look for ways in which we can make redress and heal these historical wrongs. Welcome. Welcome to everybody who's here in the room. Welcome to the people who are on Zoom. Welcome to the people who are hopefully going to watch this later on YouTube, where you can find almost all of our past services. And particularly welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. As I like to say, if you find what you experienced today to be fulfilling and enjoyable and renewing, make sure to come back another week. It will be different. It always is. I don't know if Where You Go, the opening song, is as much of an earworm for you all as it is for me, but it was definitely stuck in my head for some large portion of the week last week, which was very pleasant. I enjoyed it. I had the opportunity to drive across a fair bit of New England yesterday, and it was absolutely glorious. I find these days are precious in so many ways, both their physical beauty and their reminder of where we've come from in summer and where we're headed in winter. So no matter where your life is, in high places and low places, I hope you have a moment to appreciate what we're surrounded with right now. Here at CVUUS, we strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community that sustains a liberal religious tradition. We aspire to be visible and active on behalf of social justice and environmental responsibility. We nurture and empower each other at all ages on our spiritual journeys, and we reach out to the larger communities of which we are a part. Some housekeeping details. There are hearing assistance systems back in the sound crew in the corner. And so those will help if you have trouble making out what I or anybody else are saying. On the back of your order of service, there are a whole lot of ways of staying in touch and being aware of the ton of activities that are going on here. So I recommend you take a minute at some point to take a look at those. And if you're like me, this is the moment that you take out your phone and you put them all in your calendar, because this is the time when I see them, and then you can put your phone into worship mode, and so that you'll be undisturbed for the next hour or so. There are also is a description of cards you can fill out, pink cards and blue cards to get messages to different portions of the church, and yellow cards, which you may want to be aware of. Those we collect during the offering, and they are ways to share joys or concerns that you may have in the moment. Social hour is downstairs after the service, and we invite you to join us for what is always an amazing panoply of yummy goodies and coffee for those of us who are addicted, and other drinks for those who are not. And I think those are all the things. So let us join together in our chalice lighting. Gwen is going to come up here and help me light the chalice, and join me in the words that are in the order of service, and they are also up on the screen. Got it. We light this chalice as we learn to hold both tenderness and strength. May this flame illumine the wisdom to know when compassion calls us to offer comfort and when it demands courageous action.
Thank you, Jordan. Hi, everyone. Morning. So my name is Christina Sillari, and I'm one of the co-interim ministers here at CVUS, along with Reverend Tricia Hart. Our opening words are from the Reverend Dr. Natalie Maxwell Fenimore. She's the lead minister and minister of lifespan religious education at the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock in Manhasset, New York. These are her words. Shirley Chisholm was asked why she, a black woman, was running for president. "You don't have a chance. Why are you doing that?" And she said, "Because I am in love with the America that does not yet exist." And that's how Unitarian Universalism is also. I'm in love with the Unitarian Universalism that does not yet exist. But I have to hold both the love for that thing and the love for the reality. It does not yet exist. It will probably not exist in my lifetime. I don't think it will in that of my children, but I can't deny my love for it. You know, wanting to be there in that struggle. That's why I'm fighting. I invite you to stand if you are willing and able in body or spirit and sing hymn number 299, Make Channels for the Streams of Love.
So this is the time in our service where we share a story with the children and youth and young of heart. So I invite anybody who feels they fit in that category to join me up here for a story, which I have. The rest of you can watch the story with me. With Reverend Christina's sermon on compassion, and I hope maybe people can find out how that works. Do you want to take a look at the picture? So it's a story about kids being in school. Hey, this is great. I like having a little crowd up front. It's like much more fun. It's just us. Oh. So, yeah, it's good. So it was winter, and the snow fell on everything, turning the world a brilliant white. I don't know if that looks like the school that you went to. It looks kind of like the school I went to, but not that much. Hi, Claire.
So, you know, it kind of doesn't, because, like, I kind of go to school, kind of don't go to school. Like, I do homeschool.
Yeah, so school can look a whole lot of different ways. So this is a story about some kids who were in school where they all got together every day to be in their classes. One morning as we settled into our seats, the classroom door opened and the principal came in. She had a girl with her and she said to us, This is Maya. Maya looked down at the floor. I think I heard her whisper, "Hello." We all stared at her. Her coat was open, and her clothes underneath looked old and kind of ragged. Her shoes were like shoes for spring. They weren't like winter shoes. What do you think? Are those the shoes that you would wear outside in the snow?
Not really.
Not really. Oh, but you've got boots on, don't you? You're all set for the snow. Our teacher was named Mrs. Albert. She said, "Say good morning to our new student," but most of us didn't. The only empty seat was beside me, and that's where our teacher put Maya. And on that first day, Maya turned to me and smiled, but I didn't smile back. I moved my chair and my books a little further away from her, and when she looked at me, I kind of looked out the window and stared out at the snow. And every day after that, when Maya came into the classroom, I wouldn't look at her, which is kind of sad. My best friends that year were Kendra and Sophie, and at lunchtime we'd walk around the schoolyard, our fingers laced together, whispering secrets into each other's ears. I think Maya was standing kind of in the back, kind of by herself. One day when we were near the slide, Maya came over to us. She held open her hand. She showed us some jacks and a tiny red ball. Do people still play jacks? You know what playing jacks is?
What is a jack?
What is a jack? You can't see them here. There's a little tiny picture there, these little crosswise pieces of metal, and you bounce a ball, and you try to pick them up as fast as you can. It's kind of a fun game. It's hard, too. But nobody wanted to play jacks with Maya, so she played against herself. That afternoon, we got back in the classroom, and Maya said, "Bet you can't guess who the best jacks champion in the world is." Behind me, my friend Andrew whispered, "Chloe's got a new friend. Chloe's got a new friend." "She's not my friend," I said. The weeks passed, and every day we whispered about Maya, laughing at her clothes and her shoes. Some days she'd hold out her hand to show us what she'd brought to school, but whenever she asked us to play, we said no. The next day, Maya's seat was empty. In class that morning, we were thinking about kindness. Ms. Albert had brought in a big bowl into class and filled it with water. We all gathered around her desk and watched her drop a small stone in it. Tiny waves rippled out from the stone. "That's what kindness does," said Miss Albert. "Every little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world." Then Miss Albert let us each drop the stone in as we told her the kind things that we had done. Joseph had held the door for his grandmother. Kendra helped change her brother's diaper. I stood there holding Miss Albert's rock in my hand, silent. "Even small things count," said Miss Albert, but I couldn't think of anything, and I passed the stone on. Have you ever dropped a stone in water?
Sure, I love to see how big of a splash they make.
They make a big splash, and then they make lots of ripples, right?
Yeah. When I drop a big one, when I drop a really big one in, it makes a splash so big, like that the water droplets hit my knees.
Yeah, and it makes waves. And those are the kind of waves that can maybe reach out and touch other people, which would be really kind of cool. So Chloe here, who's in...
Wait. So,
Yep.
like, not boulders.
Sometimes. So Maya didn't come to school the next day or the day after that. Every morning I walked to school hoping this would be the day that Maya would come back, and she'd look at me and smile, and I said I would smile back that day. "Every kindness," said Miss Albert, "makes the world a little better." But Maya's seat stayed empty. One day Miss Albert said that Maya wouldn't be coming back. Her family had moved away, and she told us to take our notebooks, and it was time for spelling. That afternoon I walked home alone. When I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things I wished I could have said to Maya, every kindness I had never shown her. I threw small stones into the pool over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away. No big rocks, though. Each kindness I did and I didn't do, like every girl somewhere holding a small gift out to someone, and that someone turning away from it. I watched the water ripple as the sun set through the maples, and the chance of kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone. What do you think? Happy story, sad story?
Kind of in the middle.
Kind of in the middle?
Yeah, that story is like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it could be. A lot of stories are that way. They have happy parts and sad parts. What do you think?
It's in the middle.
Kind of in the middle too? Well, it's good. It's kind of good to...
Kind of in the middle, just in the middle.
Just in the middle. It's kind of good to think about, like, how maybe they could have been a little bit nicer to Maya at that point. All right, and that is our story for today, and it's a little summary of what's to come. So can we sing the children out? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I love hanging around with kids because you never know what's coming next. Let's see, there are many pathways to connection, as I mentioned, and they are on the back of the order of service. I wanted to call out two that are coming in the next week. One is Crop Walk, which is coming up today at 12 to 3. It's an effort to raise money for food relief for people. There is still time to participate. There is still time to contribute. Marnie Wood, who is in the back of the sanctuary in green, can tell you much more about it and can help you participate either by contributing or walking. Mary Hadley is at the sound desk, also involved in that effort. Next Saturday, so that's before we all get back together, is Middlebury Pride. This, I believe, is the third Middlebury Pride. And takes place on the green and should be a really rollicking, fun day. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a moment. And I wanted to also call attention to the fact that the back of the order of service lists a whole bunch of different events that are going to be happening in the sanctuary, some associated with CVUUS, some not, and just give you a heads up about what may be going on here if you're planning to show up unannounced for some task or other. Every month we share our offering with organizations that also do work in our community. This month we are sharing our offering with two organizations. One, Outright Vermont, which just held its last fire truck pull as a fundraiser last week. It seems like a long time ago, but it was just last week. Outright works to create a Vermont where all LGBTQ youth have hope, equity, and power. They've been doing that since 1989. It's an organization that I've been privileged to be on the board of for the last 6 or so years, and Andrea is also on the board of, and we can talk your ear off about it at social hour. The other organization that we're supporting is, in fact, Middlebury Pride, and Lindsay Fuentes-George, who's involved in organizing that, is here to tell us a little bit more about it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay, as Jordan said. I'm the director of the Teen Center, and the Teen Center actually puts on Mid-Pride every year. This is actually our 4th year, but the reason you don't know about the first one was that it was super tiny. We didn't advertise. I've been the director of the Teen Center for 4 years. For those that don't know, the Teen Center is like our local, it's sort of like a Boys and Girls Club. We're open every day after school. Everything's free. Kids ages 12 through 19, if they're still in school, are free to come. We feed them. If they're hungry, they're always hungry. We have Wi-Fi. I'd like to say productive things happen every time, but that's not true. But it's a space, our hope is it's a space for them to be themselves, to get whatever support they need. And when I came on 4 years ago, what they asked for was pride. A lot of the kids that come to the Teen Center are queer. Many of them had never been to a Pride ever. That first year we went up to Burlington Pride. And then we put on a very small, on the sidewalk, like whole dozens of people came, tiny Pride downtown. And during that tiny Pride, one of our teens looked around at the 50 people on the green and was like, wow, so many people came. And I just thought, we can do better than that. And the other story that is a little bit harder is that at the time, this was following the pandemic, the truth was that a lot of our teens were hurting themselves, and the teens that were hurting themselves were exclusively the queer teens and the teens of color. And so Catherine and I and Elio, who I think is a member of your congregation, started having these really hard conversations about how can we make this better. So Pride is exclusively and with the purpose of making those kids' lives better. We've seen so much growth and beauty happening with them and them coming into their own and feeling like they can be themselves. And last year we had 800 people-ish, we're estimating, at Pride downtown. This year, for obvious reasons, the more the better. The more they can see that support right here at home, the less they're gonna feel like they don't have it. So please come out. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 Saturdays. Thanks.
This morning's offering will gratefully be received. Chiming in your generosity. This is our opportunity to connect with one another eye to eye as we sing to celebrate our offering.
Thank you for your generosity. And thank you, Lindsay, for showing up today. So this time in our service, Milestones and Passages, is a time for us to share the important events happening in our lives. I have 2 cards. So this is from Hannah and Mike. Mike's on the welcoming team. He's sitting back there. And Hannah was our president last year, and she's the one who initiated the food cupboard, she's here, that sits outside. So it is with disappointment that we share that our community cupboard was vandalized sometime between Friday night and Saturday morning. Drawers were broken, food items were damaged. Thank you to John and Alice for finding it and cleaning it up. And we did notify the police. But we are committed to maintaining the cupboard as it is being utilized by our community. Please dig deep and continue to give to our community cupboard so we can replenish and thrive and put out ripples of kindness. We have one more share, and this is from Pam Berenbaum. Pam had an accident a few weeks ago, and she writes, she sent this to me in an email. I am overwhelmed with gratitude for this wonderful community. I've received so many well wishes through email, text, mail, and in-person visits. The outpouring of support is making my recovery from emergency surgery so much easier. Thank you so much for all the love and good wishes. So let's just take a moment to go into a quiet space in ourselves and just noticing our own milestones and passages that are living in our hearts and minds this morning. Any joys and sorrows that we're carrying. Inviting us into our heart space. Inviting our breath into our heart space. So for the next many minutes, we'll be in this contemplative time, and it will start by my reading of a meditation by Howard Thurman. Then after the meditation, which is quite long, I'll ring the bell and we'll be in silence for a few minutes. Then I'll ring the bell again and we will sing, Find a Stillness. And to maintain that quiet space, that internal space, we will stay seated for that hymn. Meditation by Howard Thurman, Life Goes On. During these turbulent times, we must remind ourselves repeatedly that life goes on. This we are apt to forget. The wisdom of life transcends our wisdoms. The purpose of life outlasts our purposes. The process of life cushions our processes. The mass attack of delusion and despair distilled out of the collapse of hope has so invaded our thoughts that what we know to be true and valid seems unreal and ephemeral. There seems to be little energy left for aught but futility. This is the great deception. By it, whole peoples have gone down to oblivion without the will to affirm the great and permanent strength of the clean and the commonplace. Let us not be deceived. It is just as important as ever to attend to the little graces by which the dignity of our lives is maintained and sustained. Birds still sing. The stars continue to cast their gentle gleam over the desolation of the battlefields. And the heart is still inspired by the kind word and the gracious deed. There is no need to fear evil. There is every need to understand what it does, how it operates in the world, what it draws upon to sustain itself. We must not shrink from the knowledge of the evilness of evil. Over and over we must know that the real target of evil is not destruction of the body, the reduction to rubble of cities. The real target of evil is to corrupt the spirit of man and to give his soul the contagion of inner disintegration. When this happens, there is nothing left. The very essence of man is captured and laid waste. Therefore, the evil in the world around us must not be allowed to move from without to within. This would be to be overcome by evil. To drink in this beauty that is within reach, to clothe one's life with simple deeds of kindness, to keep alive a sensitiveness to the movement of the Spirit of God in the quietness of the human heart and the workings of the human mind. This is, as always, the ultimate answer to the great deception. my daughter Selena asked me what I was preaching about today. Compassionate detachment, I said. She said, "What's that?" I was silent. She said, "Is it when you let go of a friend because it's the best thing for yourself, even though you care about them?" "Yes," I responded. Then she asked, "Is compassionate detachment letting go for yourself, or for another, or for both?" Compassionate detachment, and I just want to say, the reason I'm preaching about this, it's an odd thing, right, is because I have to practice it. Compassionate detachment can be understood as responding to others as if they have the ability and power to take care of themselves and manage their own problems without our interference as we express concern for them and what they're going through. It's to offer love and support knowing we cannot fix things for them. Parents practice this all the time. When toddlers are learning to walk, or our teenagers' hearts are broken, we want to grab their hand or wipe away their tears and make it all better. But most often, we simply need to witness their struggles as we offer our loving presence. But this isn't so simple. We all have people in our lives who are suffering, and sometimes we may feel the need to help them, fix them, solve their problems, to be the rescuer. Are you trying to be the rescuer for someone in your life right now? No one? I don't believe that for a second. When we go into rescue mode, we are generally working for our own agenda. Perhaps we need to feel in control or strong. This is mine. Perhaps we feel if the person was better or different, our life would be easier. Perhaps we just want to feel good about ourselves. So often as rescuer, we're generally not working so much on the other person's issue as our own. I want to rescue my mother, who's still grieving the loss of her husband, my father, who she was with since she was 14. Yet I know I cannot take away her loneliness or her grief or tell her how to live her life. She must navigate this on her own. I can listen to her sadness, and I can hold space for her, offer her kindness. Compassion is innate in us. My husband's sitting here saying, "What do you mean by compassion?" So I'm going to give him what I mean by compassion. A profound emotional response to another's suffering with a strong desire to alleviate that suffering. It's one definition, right? Science has shown that we are genetically predisposed to be compassionate. And we get confused about the limits of what that means. We can mistakenly think that to be compassionate, we must help every unhoused person we see, fix our friends' latest crisis or our family members' ongoing difficulties, or volunteer for one more thing. Right? There's a one-sided nature to this kind of care that ignores our own sense of self, our own integrity. because compassion must include us. Compassion blossoms like a flower only when we remember ourselves and others. It's like the hymn we sang earlier, the channels of love. And detachment is about not jumping in the dark hole with someone, but supporting them while they get out of the hole. Jack Kornfield, in his book, The Wise Heart, gives us this wider view. Quote, compassion is not foolish. It doesn't just go along with what others want so they don't feel bad. There is a yes in compassion, and there is also a no, said with the same courage of heart. Buddhists call this the fierce sword of compassion. It is the powerful no of leaving a destructive family, the agonizing no of allowing an addict to experience the consequence of their acts, end quote. Do you ever find yourself in a situation where a family member or friend is wanting or even asking you to rescue them or solve their problem? No? Yes? Have you ever used the fierce sword of compassion? Yeah. Sometimes we have to, right? Especially if it goes on a long time, because if they're trapped in a reoccurring loop of suffering and need that begins to wear away at our own well-being, then perhaps we need to let them go, as my daughter wisely said. We create boundaries. We detach. Healthy therapists, teachers, social workers, ministers, and more do this well. We must, or we will not have the inner resources to serve all the people in our midst. Psychologist and best-selling author Dr. Deborah Rebel says there are 5 ways to practice compassionate detachment. They all begin with R, but they're not easy to remember. Retreat, take a break or a breath. Reevaluate. Ask yourself, how can this interaction with this person help me spiritually grow? Or what is this interaction showing me about myself? So that's reevaluate. Restore. Clean yourself energetically, physically, take a shower, spend time in nature, visualize light. Raise your energy field by what? Opening the heart, right? And then if we open our heart and we surround someone else with that love, it helps. And then re-enter. You re-enter the environment, you go slowly with awareness. Retreat, reevaluate, restore, raise, re-enter. Okay. This is all fine and good, right? Because practicing compassionate detachment gives us the power to transcend anyone or anything that doesn't originate in the energy of love. But, anyone know where I'm going? No? Huh. What about our UU values centered in love? What about, can you name the values? Come on. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. Thank you. What about those? What about us being people of faith? As my conversation with my daughter continued, we talked about how compassionate detachment can turn into numbness or apathy when thinking about inequality and injustice. If I have deep compassion for the black and brown and yellow and red people who are being displaced, imprisoned, assassinated by our nation's white supremacist power systems and our immoral immigration policies, and I detach from these grave injustices and do nothing, nothing changes. Racism still runs rampant. People continue to be treated inhumanely, and my heart aches. This white middle class practice of compassionate detachment makes me complicit in the ongoing injustices in this country. Claudia de la Cruz of the People's Forum says, the systematic killing of black and brown people is as American as apple pie. We just haven't noticed, or worse if we do, we stay comfortably detached from its reality. This detachment, this apathy, is beautifully and powerfully shared by Pittsburgh poet and middle school teacher Cameron Barnett in his poem Muck, which he gave me permission to share with you. Muck, dedicated to Terrence Crutcher, who was shot and killed by police officer Betty Jo Shelby in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is a long, thought-provoking poem. So I'm just going to read an excerpt of it. If you want to hear the whole poem and chat about it and my reflection, please stay in the sanctuary after the service. Here's the excerpt. There is a muck in this world none of us know what to do with. But the truth is that some of us get to scrape it from our boots. A thin blue line is all that separates. The road to good intentions is paved with black bodies. Is the bridge to salvation built with the bones of black folk? Does it matter to you if I say black bodies or black lives, if all I am to you is a good place to put your feet? Nothing will stop you, it seems. Nothing feels more American than raking muck from your boot and then stepping on by. The lines between racism and immigration are not separate. They are deeply intertwined. The fear of immigrants, fanned by political rhetoric, often carries a racialized component. For too long, the narrative has been that new immigrants are a threat, stealing jobs, draining resources. This narrative ignores the truth that America is and has always been a nation of immigrants. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to tell you this tiny little story about my parents who came from immigrants. Their parents, Greek and Italians, tried to make themselves Americans by giving up a lot of their culture, their language. They wanted, because they weren't considered white when they came to this country, they wanted to be white to fit in, to get the American dream. That made my parents, that behavior of my grandparents, made my parents hate immigrants. Internalized. Right? Internalized racism. I just need to say that because it makes me sad and mad. So this narrative ignores the truth that America, that we're all immigrants except for who? The indigenous people who, and what do we do to them? It also deliberately overlooks the ways in which systematic racism and white supremacy have worked to deny people of color, both immigrants and native-born, the American dream. So what do? I know some of you are doing some things. At this past June's UUA General Assembly of Unitarian Universalist Congregations, actions of immediate witness were created and voted on. One of relevance is, quote, "We declare and affirm immigrants are people who have inherent worth and inalienable rights." Right? So if you want a handout about this, come stay after the service and I'll give it to you. So when it comes to justice, we need not compassionate detachment, but what? Compassionate action. We need to interfere and interrupt, not the lives of black and brown people, but with the system that makes us all slaves. We need a liberating compassion which seeks to relieve the suffering of others while we're asserting the dignity and equality of all beings. And one thing that we do need to detach from in order to do this, or we can't detach from our own biases and our own place of privileged comfort. We have to own that and look at that. Our faith and our new values challenge us to recognize, own, and unravel our personal inner obstacles towards compassionate action and to move beyond this sort of superficial kindness to actively dismantle racism and other oppressions. This is who you, CVUUS, aspires to be. I know it. And it's a long, hard journey toward building a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. Just is. It requires us to listen with an open heart when people of color share their stories of being harmed by racism. It means becoming aware of what is happening to undocumented people and how to support them. It means having uncomfortable conversations about privilege and power. And remembering what Miss Albert said from our Time for All Ages, each little thing we do, right, goes like a ripple into the world. So we can all do little things, and it turns into a big wave. And some of us, some of you, are doing a lot already. And you may feel overwhelmed and exhausted. And if this is true, it's important to take care of oneself and to compassionately detach from the media, the meetings, and even the muck for just a little while so you can nurture your own being and do the justice work you are called to do. And then practice the 5 R's: retreat, reevaluate, restore, raise, recenter. We have to stop seeing ourselves as separate individuals in disconnected communities where we don't see the muck on our boots. We must realize that the polarity in our country is a setup to separate us so that the oppressive systems can continue. If we keep on keeping on, maybe, just maybe, we will help create the America we want to exist, the faith tradition we want to exist, the congregation we want to exist, and maybe our children's children will be cared for and free. And above all, as Howard Thurman exclaims, we cannot fear the presence of evil and allow it to disintegrate our souls. We must rise in body, mind, and spirit as people of faith and keep fighting the good fight with our hearts wide open, all the while experiencing the beauty and the blessings of this world. Our closing words are by author an activist, James Baldwin, from his book, No Name in the Street. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Jordan, do you want to extinguish the chalice as we share the words on the screen? We extinguish this flame, remembering always to keep love at the center. Please enjoy the postlude. Thanks, Jen. So everyone's invited downstairs for refreshments. Anyone, the crop walk, if you're going on the crop walk, you can talk to Marnie, who's out in the lobby in green, or you can just show up on the green, the Middlebury green at noon. And if you want to hear the poem, the full poem, Muck, and if you want an immigration handout, stay here and we'll do that and then go to coffee hour. Have a beautiful day.